Where do you start when you see so many in the room who are passionate about looking after one another, their assets, and returning home safely to their families? Start by thanking you all for attending. This is a two-part event, and this morning is intended to celebrate the first 30 years of SI 971. In September 1989, the year after the Piper Alpha disaster, and before the Cullen inquiry was introduced in the 90s, SI 971 was introduced. It was intended to make a significant difference to involving workforce in matters concerning their own and their colleagues' health and safety. I believe it is a vital connection between the workforce, management, supervisors, and employers. It took a sizable investment to introduce these regulations, and it takes investment to maintain their ongoing involvement. What I would say is, without you folks, you elected safety reps in the room, and your colleagues who are out there looking after assets right now, none of this would be possible. One thing we know, and I've mentioned it in previous talks, is compliance-based regulations are very blunt. And if we're just looking for compliance, they do a job. I genuinely believe that none of us in this room want compliance. We want something that's engaging and beyond compliance. We want something that lives and breathes, that makes a difference going forward. That said, SI 971 has been maligned. It's been subject to criticism over the years. And at times it's been perceived as no longer effective. It has also been reported as being very challenging for you safety reps to use, in particular in downtimes, for fear of reprisal. This is not acceptable in this business we operate. Despite these challenges, we must acknowledge that SI 971 has endured the passage of time, in fact, some 30 years. And that's attributable to those that have been before you and continue to work with you as being elected safety reps. In main, it's due to the commitment and dedication displayed by so many of you elected safety reps. Many of you who are in the audience today. In simple terms, that you are the voice of our workforce. You give their time and their time selflessly. You are very courageous. You are genuinely caring for the constituents that you represent. And you are all prepared to go the extra mile. To go the extra mile to make our industry a safer place. You all do play your part. And for that, I'm going to start by giving you all a round of applause. Well done. There are many positive things about these regulations that have and will continue to make a difference. There's one in particular I want to mention, and it wasn't so long ago. In fact, it was 2015, when Bob Egan, who sits with us today, was officially given the position of workforce engagement. I'll call him specialist, because for me, Bob is a specialist. Bob has done a tremendous job at bringing the role of the elected safety rep to the fore. He is an advocate for how much value can be achieved by connecting up the workforce through the elected safety reps. And I'm pleased, absolutely delighted, that Bob was actually appointed by the UK HSE in July 2019 this year as their official workforce engagement specialist. Congratulations, Bob. Well done. You deserved it. The step change in leadership team has, for a number of years now, had a cohort of elected safety reps who they go to and plan to use, and I certainly plan to use going forward, to connect the entire elected safety rep community to step change. You need purpose, you need direction, you are full of ideas, excellent ideas, and you're motivated. Without your involvement, we will struggle to make the change we need to make. I've had the privilege since joining Step Change some 5-6 weeks ago to meet many of the elected safety reps that are involved in the Step Change leadership team. And I've also came to understand through today and meeting many during my 5 weeks how passionate you all are about your responsibilities as ESRs. The Safety Awards earlier this month, I got to meet the 3 finalists. With a bit of luck. Let's talk about this first. This is a slide I added today. This is a slide I added today, and I added it because I think it's very important. We all know the iceberg syndrome, the iceberg of ignorance. What lies beneath is what should concern us. Bidwick tells us that of the top part of that iceberg, senior management are aware of 4% of the challenges and issues that may be ongoing in our industry. That should bring an alarm bell to all of us. Beneath the water, typically your managers, your OIMs, your onshore managers may be aware of up to 10% of those challenges. If you look at the last 2 bullets, the issues known to supervisors are far greater. They walk the plant, they know the issues. But the most telling part of this slide, and that's why I wanted to add it today, is 100% of the challenges are known by the workforce. How do we get that information and knowledge from the front line to onshore and beyond for investment and for rectification? It has to be part of the elected safety rep's role to do that. So never underestimate the potential you have within your role as elected safety reps. Now I'll move on to last night's slides. I met the ECR finalists at the Safety Awards this year, and it gave me an insight as to how diverse these activities they deliver can actually be. From Steph's safety awareness surveys at Spirit Energy, to Brent Charlie's E.A. McKnight, who is trialling a different approach to toolbox talks, and our ECR of the Year, Beryl Alpha's very own Lee Chegwidden, and I think I got that right today, who amongst his other duties also provides Apache's HSE TV network, or so I'm led to believe. So look out for his news, look out for coverage, and look out for it in the Offshore Energy Voice as well. Lee always gets a mention. So please put your hands together again for Steph, Ian, and for our finalist, Lee. Now that we have recognized these amazing individuals, let's take a moment to reflect on what the future could and should look like. We should be starting by recognizing that there is significant untapped potential within the ESR community. Having talked with many of in the room today and yesterday at the Wood ECR event, it's clear to me there is a willingness, there is a desire to do so much more. So I see it as my duty, while I lead Step Change, to use this network to play a key part in what we do at Step Change. We must excuse the pages. We must provide you with a purpose. We must provide you with the tools and systems to allow you to share with the extended network and your constituents. We must be prepared to listen to what you bring to the table and acknowledge that you're the voice of the workforce. We must harness that enthusiasm, passion, the passion you have for the safety of others, while recognizing that the solutions to our challenges may be multifaceted and challenging. I ask you to be patient as we develop the relationship and identify a truly value-adding purpose for the elected safety reps. With all good intentions comes words of caution. We cannot doubt the intent of this relationship between elected safety reps and step change. However, we need the support of the offshore leadership, OIMs, site supervisors. We need them to be enablers, and there are some in the room today, and I want you to take that message with you that you need to be enablers to make the elected safety rep function perform to its true value. Their support, the OIMs, etc., in understanding and in giving encouragement are a prerequisite for the future and the success of the elected safety rep community. We also require the support of onshore duty holders and employers, as they can and must be the enablers for ensuring that the ECR network is supported across the entire industry and not only on an asset base. There are many fantastic examples of high-performing elected safety rep communities on assets offshore. What we need is to get it across the industry. There are folks in this room that are responsible for assets and for portfolios of assets. These are the folks that have to be enablers onshore. It has been reported to many times that good, if not best practice, has been witnessed on specific assets offshore by our regulators and by our inspectors. Bob Egan and his HSE workforce engagement role frequently reports on the disparity across company assets. So much depends on your relationship with management offshore and your safety committees. There is good practice. We need to understand better how we share it. He's also quick to point out that good practice does exist and it's plentiful. We're just not good at getting it across the patch. The inspection reports are issued to onshore management. What happens with these reports is dependent on the recipients. Given the significant investment made in training, mobilizing elected safety reps to events such as this, you would think there would be a desire to see a return on the value they spend, the money they spend, and the value that could be achieved out of this group. This brings me to the introduction of revised guidance that targets 3 distinct groups. We will be launching this new guidance today. There's been considerable effort put in to make it relevant and easier to understand. It has been compiled in a manner and published in a way that is intended to make it easier to understand. It's not like a regulation, it's like simple working instructions. We'll be running breakout sessions this afternoon for the 3 specific documents. Please take the time to attend, certainly the one that applies to you the most, but try visit all 3. We'll have hard copies available to collect as you leave the event today, and I've also provided electronic versions on memory sticks that will also be issued to you today on your way out in the goodie bags. You can also download these guidances from our Step Change website. So please take the time to make yourself familiar with them. Share them with your colleagues, share them with your constituents, and be prepared to talk to management about the expectations within them. We will play our part by heavily publicising them to the onshore community. Make it your business to discuss these documents with your offshore support groups. Moving to the remainder of this morning, we have some great speakers lined up. We have some elected safety reps. We have some industry speakers who will give you relevant messages about your role, where it's been, and where it can potentially go. And remember, this is a celebration of those. Our very own Kirsten Grove will do the facilitating of the speakers. Now, following the speakers, lunch will be available, and it will be served at the back of the room, so you can eat it at your tables or where you choose. What I want to bring to your attention is we will have the Oil and Gas UK's board with us today for lunch. They are breaking from a strategic review meeting and travelling in just to demonstrate their commitment to this event. I would ask that you make room for them at your table. I would ask that you make yourself known to those that may be the employers of you. I would ask that you be prepared to share what you feel and how you feel about being a safety rep with them. You will never really get the opportunity to have so many of them in the same room with so many elected safety reps. So please, don't miss the opportunity to engage them while they are in the room. Lunch will be followed by the webinar, where your colleagues and peers will be dialing in. So let's not forget, for the 350 plus people in this room, there is still another 900 to 1,200 elected safety reps that are out there keeping our industry safe or at home on their rest breaks. So it's important that we connect with them today. That is what, in Bob's words, makes this the biggest safety event we have ever seen. Enough said. Let's move on with today's event, as it gives me great pleasure to introduce Graham Wildgoose. Graham will provide a safety moment that is very relevant for all of us who go offshore. It's about the helicopter induction. Lithium batteries are becoming more and more prevalent in everything we do due to the handheld devices, streaming machines, and so on and so forth. So please give Graham your attention, listen intently, and remember his presentation will also be available for your next safety meeting offshore. Thank you for your attention, and let's contribute all to make this a successful day and this industry a safer place. To see change, start by being change. Thank you very much.